Hey friends, so this video is going to be while I'm driving, so hopefully traffic won't cause any problems for you guys hearing me. I live in Cape Coral, Florida, and we have lots of traffic because we are in our high tourism season right now, where a lot of snowboarders are down here hanging out with us. So today is going to be the topic of fundraising, because I've got some questions about fundraising lately. And I just want to be like super transparent about fundraising. And I want to start by saying this is day 26 of my 60-day YouTube commitment. My New Year's resolution was to just do a video every day as a way to speak for our children that we're adopting from Liberia. Super excited to adopt from Liberia. Our kids have been waiting for us. They've been waiting for a family for over 1,000 days. We've been working towards adopting from Liberia. This is day 668. But that's part of for the course for international. Our biggest barrier right now is the U.S. State Department putting pressure on the Liberian government doing an investigation. So it's just a whole thing, but we're hoping it's going to be resolved soon. We are taking a trip basically just on faith and hope, February 12th to visit our kids, and it's possible that we'll come back with them, although it's unlikely. The most likely thing that's going to happen on this trip is that we're going to visit them, get to know them, get the lay of the land in Liberia, and give them and their friends a big old dose of hope that we're still coming and that they do have families that care for them. They're in an orphanage with 38 kids total, so counting our 2 kids, 36 more kids. There's 5 caregivers. They're not all 24/7, so it's a lot to take in. We have some other families that have children that are there. Either their adoptions are partially finished or not finished at all. Some of them are partially finished, and we're still just, again, waiting on the U.S. government to give them approval to immigrate to the U.S., which is a whole different issue that I'm not going to address on today's video. What I want to address the most on today's video is actually just the fundraising aspect. So number one, I think that fundraising is difficult, and I think it's heart-wrenching, and to be in a position as an adoptive family to have to ask for help from your friends and family is a difficult spot to be in. American culture is more independent, more pull yourself up by your bootstraps, especially our generation, so it's hard. But if you're going to adopt internationally and you're going to grow your family by way of adoption, everybody knows that it's expensive and everybody knows that it's difficult. So people that don't want to help you, and that's okay. Most people actually do want to help you, whether they have been touched by adoption themselves or they just think it's a good idea. Most people can't logistically adopt themselves, so they can be a part of your gift to give these kids a permanent home and family. They can be a part of that and they want to be. And so don't think that people don't want to help you. They do. But I do think that from like a biblical and spiritual standpoint, I think that in my experience in the adoptions that we've done ourselves and the adoptions that we've helped other people with over the years has been what the fundraising chapter does is it gathers the support long term that your child is going to need emotionally in your communities. So, there are people that will give to our adoption that may never even meet my kids in person, and that's a possibility. But most people that are giving to your adoption are people that are going to be a part of your life. Our neighbors, people we go to church with, people I work with, people our kids go to school with, their teachers, and a lot of the leaders in your community that are going to give, that's what they're going to do. A lot of companies are looking for tax-deductible donations anyway. They're going to give to something. Why not you? So that's what I want to say to begin with, is that don't think that people don't want to help, because they do want to help, and that's literally what they say. And when someone helps you, it gives them a sense of accomplishment and a sense of compassion, and we need more of that. More than that too, I think a lot of the tax-paying Americans don't understand how their tax dollars are not being decided that we would adopt 2 children from Liberia. We decided that we would travel as a family, and initially we prepared for 4 to 6 weeks to live in country in Liberia. And now we're prepared for either a longer stay in Liberia, or we're prepared for 2 trips, maybe even 3 trips. Kind of in that chapter of our adoption right now, where we're done with the fundraising part and we're just waiting to travel. We are traveling to Liberia without actual court dates yet, as I mentioned before, but we're hoping and praying that those come through while we're there and we can just knock it out. But regardless, your adoption-related expenses are tax deductible for you. They're also tax deductible for anyone else that gives to your adoption. The best, so I'm going to just tell you briefly, like, my ABCs of adoption fundraising that were the most successful for us. And if you need like specific coaching or specific help, there's a ton of different fundraisers out there. I know about most of them. If I don't know, I can find out. And there are tons of companies and organizations that give great money to adoptive families, and they give big checks. So I'll walk you through that too. But what I'm going to start with, what I like the most is the thing that gets the sweat equity. Like, you know for sure, if you put money into this, you're going to get it back. You can apply for grants all day long. Some people will give you grant money and some won't. So if you spend a whole lot of time on a grant application but nobody ever gives you any money for that grant, I feel like that's not the sweat equity that you would like. So that's just my opinion. So the ABCs of adoption for the sweat equity are the things I want to tell you about the most first, and that way you can start there. So if you're like in the beginning phases of adoption, or you're like us and you found out that your international adoption is going to be 2 trips, not 1, and you're looking at thousands of dollars extra in costs, don't fret. You can do it. The first thing that I recommend every single adoptive family doing, no matter what, no matter where you are in the process, is to go online and do adopttogether.org. Adopttogether.org. If you type in adoption grants, it's one of the first things that pops up on Google search. Adopt Together is a crowdfunding site that, from a end user standpoint, from a consumer standpoint, it's going to seem a lot like GoFundMe or Gifts and Go crowdfunding. That's what it's going to seem like. It's not really that, but it does look that way, and it's that easy. It's just as easy as GoFundMe to give. You can give $5, you can give $500, doesn't matter, you give $1. Adopt Together is a nonprofit organization for crowdfunding specifically for adoptions that was started by an adult child of a family with adopted kids. It never really says specifically if he's a bio kid or an adopted kid, but Hank is the guy that started Adopt Together about 10 or 12 years ago, and his dream was to make it more accessible for families to fundraise. So he created this fundraising platform. We fundraised over $35,000 on Adopt Together's crowdfunding site through lots of different avenues. We would frequently get donations, like $1,000 from an anonymous donor. They may have been people in our life that know us. They may have been a friend of a friend. Who knows? They may have just been someone that wanted to give and follow along. If someone gives anonymously to my adoption and gives $1,000, you are able to tell them thank you, but you don't know who they are. They will continue to get email updates about you and your story as long as they check their email, unless they block you. So every time you do an update, they get an email, even if they're anonymous. So, and there's ways to update. Updates are the best way to kind of spread their word. But Adopt Together basically is, they take a very, I think it's less than 5%. Like, it's a little bitty fee off the top so that they can just run their nonprofit. And Adopt Together actually chose to spotlight our family specifically to help with some of our expenses with a golf tournament that they did. So that actually gave us an extra boost. With $35,000 in like 9 months is what we cleared. Just there. And that's not even counting the other fundraisers that we were using. So that is number 1. I would say make an Adopt Together account right now. It will take you 12 minutes. You can do one picture of you and your family. You don't have to do a lot of documentation, uploading, or applications. It's very easy. Now, when you fundraise with Adopt Together and someone gives you $1,000, let's say your Uncle Tom or Joe. Let's say Uncle Tom and Aunt Josephine. So Aunt Josephine and Uncle Tom, they are super, super, super excited about your adoption, but they want to use the tax deductible option. So they get on the Adopt Together website, or they're old school and they got to write the check. They do not want to do it on the website. They want to write a handwritten check, and they want to mail their information through snail mail to get to Adopt Together. There's an address that they can do that. There's a little code that goes with your family that they just write the code in the 4. Even if they forget to write kids, they sent a check in the mail, but we don't know if they did it right. Keep an eye out. Kate at Adopt Together, she will watch for it. Very, very detailed on their bookkeeping. They do a great job. So let's say they sent $1,000. So they sent $1,000 for you. Let's say that an anonymous donation sends $500, and then let's say that your neighbor next door sends $30, and then let's say you get up to $5,000, okay? Then your agency sends you an invoice for $3,000 for you to pay for the adoption letter of intent for Liberia is what I use as the example, or just their agency fees. Home study is a good one. Home study is about $2,500. So you have $5,000, let's say you have $3,000 sitting in your Adopt Together account, and you have to pay for your home study. So you can do one of two things. You can write a check for your own home study and get a receipt, and then take that receipt, take a picture of it, and upload it to the Adopt Together website. Every month they disperse funds by way of grants. So whatever your receipt was for, let's say it's for $2,500, and you wrote a check for that out of your personal account, Adopt Together will write you a check for what you used. You just have to give them the receipt for the adoption related expense. Or you can say that you have $3,000 in your Adopt Together account, and you can say, hey, Adopt Together, I have to pay Small World Adoption Agency $2,500 for my home study, or I have to pay this to the Liberian government. And give them a receipt, and they will make the check out personally to you. So that I wrote a check for my home study to Heart of Adoption Alliances, and they took my money and they cashed my check. I take the receipt that they gave me and I give it to Adopt Together, and Adopt Together writes me a check for the exact same amount to replace what I spent. That's how it works. So it's almost like a savings account. Or Adopt Together can write a check directly to. So let's say that I don't have $2,500 to write a check, and I don't want to put it on a credit card or whatever. I don't have the fluid cash. I can actually touch base with Adopt Together and say, hey, I need you. This is my invoice to Heart of Adoption Alliances for my home study. Would you please send them a check in my name to pay for this? And they will. We did it the way where we pretty much paid everything out of our own pocket, and then they reimbursed us. So then in the taxes on the back end of that, you can write off on your adoption related expensive stuff that you paid. But if you get reimbursed for it, that cancels it out. So you don't need to kind of double dip there, if that makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, then put a comment in there and ask me, and I'll clarify. The next thing you do after you have an Adopt Together profile, you can share it on social media, you can share it on email, you can create a QR card and put it on a flyer. Any event that you do, anybody that asks about your adoption, send them the link. This link needs to be like your signature on everything. You're going to use it everywhere. I shortened mine to like a bit.ly link so it would be a little bit easier, and it's just called Adopt Faster. But we fundraised in this avenue over $35,000 in less than 9 months. And I'm telling you, like, it was almost like at one point like $50 a day that we were getting. And it averages out. And you get an email and you can say thank you, whether it's anonymous or a person. But that's the best way to do it. The next thing I would do is tell me where you live. And if you live in like the southeast, I want you to contact Fill the Box. If you don't live in the southeast, I want you to contact Funds to Orgs. Fill the Box and Funds to Orgs are two different free fundraisers that recycle textiles. Funds to Orgs only does shoes, and that's a little more stringent. You don't get quite as much bang for your buck, but it is a nationwide, wherever you live in the continental U.S., you can use Funds to Orgs for shoe recycling. It's like you basically collect a bunch of decent condition shoes, you bound them together, you sort them, and by pound you get paid. We did that early on in our adoption. We got $2,058. It was good. It was a good way to introduce a free fundraiser to our community and networking and friends, to let them know that we were adopting and ask them for something free. We just wanted stuff out of their closet they weren't going to use anyway. Shoes that didn't fit, shoes they didn't want. Honestly, the things that touched me most on that fundraiser were when we would get shoes from the deceased. So like Papaw's work boots that were in great condition, but he had passed on, and taking Papaw's work boots to Goodwill was just not the way that they wanted to deal with their grief. So when we offered this separate avenue for our adoption, people were really excited. So Funds to Orgs is a great organization to work with. Cody was our coach. He was fantastic. Cody Phipps. I can give you his number. He can get you started right away. Free fundraisers are the best way to introduce your adoption. Fill the Box. The reason I mentioned Fill the Box before Funds to Orgs, Fill the Box is more in the Southeast. They're not the only company that does this, but they're the one we have the most experience with. They do textile recycling. They don't require you to sort. You can do clothing, shoes, hats, purses, luggage, anything that you want. And it can all be together. Mismatched shoes, although that's not ideal, but they redistribute used recycled clothing all over the continental U.S. and all over the world for nonprofits. Thrift stores mostly is where this stuff starts, and then it grows from there. If it can't be used anywhere in the continental U.S., it gets shipped overseas for upcycling. So they'll turn like stained T-shirts into paper. So Fill the Box. Jennifer Tilton is my contact there. Absolutely love her. Her supervisor Brian also has been extremely helpful. We have them now coming to our house. They pick up a load about every 3 weeks to every 3 to 4 weeks. At this point, we're still fundraising, some for our adoption and some for other families. We split what we're doing now with another family. We also, you can use Fill the Box for nonprofits. Fill the Box works similar. They can write a check to Adopt Together for you, and you can get it when you want to, so that way it doesn't look like income for you. They also have a 1099 option where you're basically an independent contractor collecting clothes for them for your fundraiser, and then they can go from there. So that's and the textile thing. So that's A, Adopt Together. B, Fill the Box. Do something free. And C, I wanted to kind of plug Noonday Collection. I'm a Noonday Collection ambassador. If you want me to do a trunk show for you, I will do it. Email me, let me know. We'll gather your people online. If you live locally, we'll gather your people in person, and we'll get that going. Noonday Collection is a for-profit, fair trade, jewelry and accessory company that buys from entrepreneurs all over the world that work in fair trade environments, so that they are not slaves. They are being paid for what they're doing. They are small business owners all over the world. Guatemala, Peru, Uganda, East Asia, trafficking victims specifically in East Asia, Vietnam, Nepal, I'm drawing a blank, Ecuador, drawing a blank all of a sudden, countries, Kenya, Nepal. There are 13 different countries represented and multiple small business owners. India is the biggest one. They have the most small businesses in India. So those countries are excellent because Rwanda, that was the other one. But there's 13 countries in total, and they work very hard to make their product. Noonday pays for their product up front, ships it over here, we sell it in direct sales market. So we really enjoy those sales. We really enjoy that community. There's a lot of, it was started by an adoptive mom initially. She was adopting from Rwanda and was looking for fundraising opportunities for her child, and was a real estate agent in a really sketch, like the real estate market was not doing well, so she's trying to complete an adoption. She directly purchased some jewelry and accessories from a friend of hers and brought it home and resold it at her house, and it did fantastic. Smaller gatherings, in-person gatherings. We can do online gatherings too. Noonday Collection has probably put me being a Noonday ambassador and the other shows, like other ambassadors did shows for me. Noonday will donate 10% of an adoption trunk show's revenue sales to your adoption directly. They'll do it straight to Adopt Together or to your adoption agency. I give all of my commission to the adoptive family. Not all the ambassadors do that, because some of them use this as their primary source of income. I use it as adoption. So I've probably profited, I want to say $6,000 over the last year with Noonday Collection donations and sales, either for my own business or for my colleagues that help me, the Noonday ambassadors. There's just a whole team of them. It has a lot of adoption friendly moms in it, and they're fantastic. So that's the third thing. So C would be Noonday Collection. So A, Adopt Together. B, Fill the Box. C, Noonday Collection. I think that those ABCs are the best way to start today on your fundraising journey, and I can help you with all three of them, and I don't mind. It is extremely fulfilling for me to coach families on their fundraising journey. It is extremely fulfilling for me to see those kids come home. If you are paused on your adoption process because you're worried about fundraising, then let me unpause you, because you can do this. So that's that's all for today. That is my video for today about fundraising. We fundraised $92,000 last I checked. We actually got some donations. We still get donations on our Adapt Together site. Even though we've pretty much met our fundraising goals for the moment, we're wondering if we're going to have to make 2 trips to Africa or not to get our kids. There's a lot of moving parts in international adoption. My hope and my prayer is that we always have more money than we need, and that we end up giving that money to other families that are in need, that are behind on their fundraising. So that would be my hope and my dream. So, you know, when we adopted our oldest at birth, we actually fundraised more than we needed, and we took what was left over and split it between the families that we knew that were adopting. Most of these families we had met in our adoption classes, some of them not. But the cost of adoption is just, it feels like a ransom, and I do think that as an American taxpayer, like, you really need to look into where your dollars are going when you funnel it into the child welfare system with the U.S. government. Like, it's not great. But if you're looking for tax-deductible donations for other people's adoptions, then, you know, choose me. You know, especially, like, the other thing, too, that with the Adopt Together is there's an option for matching grants. So a company, like, so say you're a company that needs to just choose a nonprofit to give to, you can donate a $500 or $5,000 matching grant to families that have Adopt Together accounts, and then that matching grant will stay public until it's matched, and then the family will get to have that. So matching grants tend to really help with fundraising. Even as an individual, we've done that as individuals. We put like a $500 matching grant or a $1,000 matching grant out for other families and watched other people match it. And it's really great because it doubles what they were going to get. So it's a good way to use that crowdfunding platform communication. And, you know, people that give to our adoption, some of them I've never met in person, but they keep in close contact with us and they like our story. Some people are anonymous. Some people, some of them are my very best friends that just keep coming back and giving more, and I appreciate that. The good thing about the Adopt Together website is it does function sort of as a blog update too. So whenever you update it or you do an update post, it will email the previous donors, and so it keeps them kind of abreast of your situation. And a lot of times they want to give more. So if you have, like, Uncle Tom and Aunt JoJo gave you $1,000 and you don't want to ask them again, but you need that money, please remember that they have a dog in the sun too. They're emotionally invested. They already gave you $1,000. They may want to give more. But if someone has zero money that they can give you to help with your adoption, I guarantee you they have clothes or shoes or something in their closet that they don't need anymore that you could recycle. Fill the Pox does 20 cents a pound. Funds.org, they start at 15 cents a pound, but if you collect a certain amount, they'll bump you to 20 or 25 cents a pound. So it just depends on the amount you're able to collect. So, that all being said, I am almost home from my travels. I hope this video quality isn't terrible because I was in the car and I'm using my phone and not my normal device for videos. I really appreciate you guys joining us. I'm going to put our Adopt Together link for tax-deductible donations in the description if you guys have any questions. My email is adopt100more, so ADOPT100more@gmail.com. Please send me emails if you have questions about this or you don't know where to start, or if you would like to have a Noonday Truck Show for you, I would be happy to do that. It's extremely easy. You can do it in person, you can do it online. If you do it online, we just gather a Facebook group or small group, Zoom, whatever, and I can introduce Noonday to your friends and family, or they already know about Noonday, we'll just show them all the new stuff. But that can be done today. Don't think that I'm too busy to do that. I'm not. I love doing that stuff. Because the Noonday thing specifically really helps. It provides fair trade jobs for people that otherwise are literally, like, surfacing from abject poverty. So, there's no, like, better way than to let your people buy stuff they're already going to buy. Like, people are already going to buy stuff for Mother's Day. They're already going to buy stuff for Father's Day. They're already going to buy stuff for Christmas, birthdays, New Year's, graduations. And Noonday has products to meet the needs for all those things. So let's do that together and enjoy it. I'm really, like, excited about packing. I feel like I need a nap right now because I'm a little overwhelmed about packing, but I'm not going to take a nap. The girls are getting excited about traveling as well, and super excited too to kind of see we have a Facebook um,